singer-songwriter, musical theater director, multi-hyphenated Sir Jude Gitamondoc.
May hapon. Actually, I'm very happy to be invited this afternoon to talk about something different. Usually, I'm asked to talk about my work with Pop or silent music. And this will be the very first time that someone asked me to talk about my lifelong obsession, actually, to be honest, with Broadway musicals. Isa yung Broadway musical fan doon. Oh, di ko kanina na tuyuan ko gamay kay it seems like it's not my crowd because most of the people probably here, I'm assuming mga visual artists and all. Pero I realize also na you are actually the people that we need and lack sa theater. So I'm actually speaking to the right people. So hopefully something can come out of this. So I realized that recently, I realized recently not a lot of people write original musicals here in Cebu. I was just happy to watch a show last night sa Sacred Heart, and I was happy to know that the one who wrote all of the songs was a student. So at least there's that one, and I hope to hear more. But so far in my circle, the things that are being produced are like Broadway musicals that are being restaged here or stage plays. Pero gamay lang din kayo akong nalungga na magsulat o original musical. There are many fans, but there are not a lot of creators, no? So I think think of this as my pitch to all of you creatives to join me in my pursuit of the next Cebuano, the next original Cebuano Broadway musical. So before I go to the talk itself, I want to define some terms, no, kay medyo sensational yung ang rin. First, a definition of terms. Musical. What is a musical? So, in the plainest definition that I can give, musical is a medium of storytelling that uses songs, period. Full stop. So, if your story requires the use of songs, then it's a musical. If it's a film or a stage production, basta nice story na naggamit of songs. In my definition, Broadway musical is a genre of that particular medium. So among all musicals, there's what we call the genre which is Broadway musical, which is the mold that you see on Broadway. Sila yung nag-originate essentially, ang musical man is very American ang roots, no? So we cannot help but attribute it to them. Sila may nagsigihimuan na sila nag-polish sa mga best practices. So I think it deserves that tawag na Broadway musical, that genre. There are many other genres, by the way. So, like opera, sa atuan natin is zarzuela. So, this is me saying that I'm not really particularly interested in the Filipino musical, which is the zarzuela. There are those, but it's not my, hindi na akong trip ba? Akong trip yun kay Broadway musical yun. So, I'm unabashedly, unashamed nga ko, Broadway musical fan. I just realized that Broadway musicals have been so intertwined with my own experience as a human being. They've become a soundtrack to my life. I'm sure some of you as well. No? So at the risk of being self-promoting, I hope you don't mind. Actually, I'm already regretting it, knowing what's about to come. I hope you don't mind if I share a bit about my infatuation with the Broadway musical. And warning, there will be a lot of photos. A lot of photos. So we'll start with this one. When I was that small, I actually had my encounter with the musical already. And usually, it involves a certain technology. So the first time I encountered the Sony Walkman, my brother brought it from Cebu. I'm born in Surigao del Sur, so sa Provinciano yun ko. So when my brother came home to the province bringing the Walkman, he brought with it a cassette tape, which is The Sound of Music. So imagine, I think I was around 6 years old, and that was the first experience na po of music that close, like an orchestra right at the one of my ears was the sound of music, and Julie Andrews singing that song. So it was really memorable. The next experience I had in the musical is Mary Poppins, and it coincided with the Betamax also coming to our province. So, pag abot sa Betamax, I remember that because I always cry at the end of that movie. You know Mary Poppins, di ba? Di ba at the end, the Mary Poppins usually leaves the kids. So I would cry, parang traumatic eh siya. Ako na, where is she going? She's leaving me behind. So, ang face ako, akong parents, they would always play it back at the beginning, parang balik si Mary Poppins. So by then, after that, I also learned to play the piano already. And I remember my next experience of a musical is West Side Story, particularly the recording by Jose Carreras. He was not an actor in the play, but they had this recording, which was conducted by Leonard Bernstein himself. And it was one of those memorable experiences because I didn't know the story. I was just listening to the music, and I felt sad. I think around mga 11 or 12. I didn't know the story, but I knew it was a sad story, and I felt that sadness from listening to those songs. And then, obviously, high school. Isulod kong scenario, there was a time na I wanted to become a priest in my past life. Pero bayot ako. If you're wondering why I'm here, so I'm this guy here. There. So, as I credit high school seminary as the place where I learned how to write songs. Apparently, we don't have a lot of things to do in the seminary, so there's a lot of time for hobbies. So, it was there that I learned how to write songs, but also at the same time, as soon as I learned how to write songs, I wrote musicals. And back in high school, I wrote 2 musicals and a play. Nindot naman sa scenario kay we have these events every month, so there's always an opportunity to put up a play or a musical. And incidentally, that was the time na naususan ang Miss Saigon. Because, I don't know if you kids remember or have an experience of that, na suddenly Filipinos love Broadway because Lea Salonga was in Saigon. Apparently for most of us, we didn't know that there was such a thing as Broadway, but because Lea was there, we suddenly knew na, oh, there's this thing called Broadway, and they have these things called musicals. And from Miss Saigon, actually baliktad, di ba? Nauna man ang linis sa Miss Saigon, pero baliktad ang experience. I knew of Miss Saigon first, then I discovered Linis Sarab. Okay. So that's college, and then that's me. That's what I said. I am regretting this. And during college, that's where I also encountered Ren. I remember that because that's one of those cassette tapes that I bought for myself. The first cassette tape I was able to afford already from the tuition that was given to me. So palit ko music. Ren was the first one. It seemed so cool. Then when I listened to the songs, that was the first musical I learned na we can use contemporary music, the music of the day in Broadway musicals. Because at that point, a lot of the musicals I've heard were very karaan. Or even if they were groundbreaking at that time, like Hair, by that time, I came to realization, ni kuwan akong consciousness na mature na ko, nakaraan na saan siya. Wala? Na-off na ko. Wala. Sorry. Kinsay pa yung ilan ako dali, mga 40 something. Kasi hindi mo ka-relate sa itong hindi pa nun. Okay, there. So now, I actually quit school because of musicals. Because the first project that was, where I was commissioned was a musical. It's an anniversary musical of the Salesians. So that was my first professional work. And because of that, I did not finish college. Hangtod karon, undergraduate yapon, and still striving, wanting to get a degree. So now I'll go quickly, if you don't mind, to some of the things that I've done for musical theater. So after that, I had a lot of years training under the Salesians, writing their musicals, and then I was commissioned to write Siddhartha the musical. That is probably the longest running musical that I've written. It's been staged everywhere around the world. And then after that, we had the confidence of putting up our own theater company, which we call Offbeat Concepts, composed of Jingle Sines, our director, Vince Gaton, our choreographer, and Pami, who just like gives us a lot of her ideas. We steal ideas from Pami. We mag-debate ni kung sa table ni Pami. Basta nawalas Pami din. She's the magic element that adds magic to whatever it is that we're doing. So from Offbeats, we produced 2 plays. The first one was You've Been Facebooked. I don't know if anyone saw that. We had a good school run for a time. And incidentally, that was 2013. We bagged we were one of the top 13 musicals hailed by Broadway World Philippines as one of the top 13 musicals of 2013. And so the next one is Gumanggi Atay. Kasi nakakita Gumanggi Atay. We need to restage it. So Gumanggi Atay is also hailed by Philippine Daily Inquirer as the best musical of 2017. So I was really particularly proud of this because this was a Cebuano play. We wrote this in Bisaya, and it's a jukebox musical of the songs of the Disrupt band. So tanan ng mga songs like Bisan pa, Gumanggi Atay, obviously. And even my own song, Hasula, was part of that musical as well. Not a lot of people know, by the way, that I wrote Hasula for the musical. Yes. But it became fun. Anyway. So after then, I should delete some of my photos. Para lang makita ninyo ang progression na nagkatiguan. So I started directing my own musicals. So the first one I directed was Monsters the Musical. It's jukebox musical scale, but using the songs of Katsuki Espina. The second was Zephyrin, which was a musical that I wrote 10 years earlier and we staged it last year. And finally, this year, last February, we staged Star and Cloud, which we brought to Taiwan also in the same year. So kana. It's curious to note, and this are all so far some of the musicals that I've worked on. It's curious to note that even in my other non-theatrical projects, I still use the medium of the musical to tell a story. Girl in the Broken String is a project I co-worked with Feliz Vivarante. She wrote the novel, but I co-wrote with her the songs. And if you check that out, it's a book, but there are songs because the character in the book is a songwriter, so you can actually check out the songs while reading the book. So, kana siya. And the second one is Hasula Serie. This is an album that I produced with Kurt Fink and Jackie Chan. Some of the fans noticed na DJ story. If you watch the music videos in sequence, there was a storyline that we were following. Kana siya. So even in those other things, it's still a musical. So now, I ask myself, why musicals? Why this obsession with musicals? No? So there's this popular quotation. Yun sila, words make you think a thought. Music makes you feel a feeling. Songs make you feel a thought. Now, this is so inspiring, especially for a musical writer. Why? Because you know that human beings, we have this, the thing that makes us human is that sometimes our thoughts and feelings do not match. Okay, sometimes ay mong thought, ay mong malingon, let go na. And then, ay mong heart, no, not yet. Ayaw lang sa, charot. So, the only way you can express that is through song. Why? Because you can actually say something like in the lyrics say, di tao iya, walay ikaw ako, so you make it funny. Pero in the music, you're clearly saying that you're sad. So, kana siya. So, that's actually if you check out all of my songs, a lot of it is a play on that, mixed emotions. Because I think that's what makes us human, no? You always feel all of the emotions all at the same time. Everywhere, everything everywhere all at once. So that's a very definition of being human. So that's what's great about musicals, no? So if you look at the musical, people say it's very overwhelming because there's a lot of things going on. But that shows that it is the only form that gives you the power to choose. You have the power of choice. If you look this way, that is your experience of the story. You miss this part. Okay? And there's no rewind, by the way. Because even if we videotape a musical, each performance is different. And it's the only form wherein the audience has a say. Meaning to say, you have an effect on the performers. Your response to the performance affects the performers. And so much so that it changes their performance. So that's why you can never expect the same performance of the same show every time. So there's always a difference, no? So this is a part where I talk a little bit of, if you allow me, I'll talk a little bit about the work that I'm currently doing. Is that fine? So this is a new musical I've been working on since the pandemic. And I just like to pitch this. I just like to pitch this to you because we're actually looking for collaborators on this. And as I said, ang kuwang jud sa theater in Cebu, especially those producing original musicals, is the visual component. We have the music down pat. We have some of the acting good. The music is good, but always we fail on the visual component. Why? Because it's expensive. Lisod man gasto mo kay magproduce og kanang full kuan. So but I think if we have creatives like you or any visual artists who can contribute to that, I think we will stage better shows. If you notice the photos that I showed you a while ago, there's no set kuan. Wala focus on set. It's all on the actors, their faces, their vlogging. It's because we lack, unfortunately. And I think a lot of you can go on. So that's why I'm teaching this idea to you, know. So let me just describe the musical that I'm currently writing. So Hook Up is a musical comedy about a young man. Ang pangalan niya si Tim. By the way, this is not based on my experience. Wink, wink. So you know my trope, no? I'm saying something else, but the truth is something different. So si Tim, he sets out to find the love of his life in the time of COVID-19 on a gay dating app called Hooked. This is a slight wink to my previous musical, which is Facebook. So in this play, I named the app Hooked. The musical details his misadventures on the app and the people he meets along the way. So interspersed all over Tim's story are a mix of vignettes, sort of like vagina monologues, if you've seen vagina monologues. Vignettes and monologues of the many personalities on Hooked. So, elevator pitch. For those of you who are familiar with musical theater, you will get the references. So, it's a PG-rated naked boy singing with a relatable BL connecting storyline and the pop musical sensibilities of Dear Evan Hansen. So, if you know all of those musical, more or less you can picture out the approach. Some of the themes: dating and relationships in the digital era, hookup culture among the gay community, safe sex, HIV awareness, discrimination against people living with HIV, toxic culture within the gay community, otherness of LGBT in society, and the difference between loving acceptance versus just mere tolerance. So, kana siya. So I'll let you hear, like what he did at the previous speaker. I'll show you something that no one has ever heard. This is the first time you're gonna hear this song. I would just like to credit my collaborator on this, Barry Villacarillo, the only guy with the yellow shirt. You cannot miss him because he's wearing a yellow shirt. He is my producer for this, so we co-created the sound of the musical with him. So, ano siya. Set up lang of the song now. So, This is one of the, if you're familiar with musical theater, there's what we call the I Want song. I Want song is, ano sa man, kanang, I think kung ang pinaka-common na example is Pippin. I Want song sa Pippin is Corner of the Sky. It's basically the characters singing, telling us what he wants. And the goal of the musical is to show if he got what he wants or not. So basically, so it's setting up the premise of the whole play. In this scenario, in this play, I wanted to start with the I Want song, which is not really usually done. So I start the musical with the I Want song, and then he enters the act, and that's when we see the opening number. But this is the first song that we will hear now. So set up lang, the character team just finished medicine, and after years of bargaining with himself and prioritizing his studies over his social life, it's decided that the time has come for him to find a boyfriend. So, graduate naman siya. Yay, graduate ako. Pwede na akong make up iyak. So, this is the moment na he's telling us what he wants, no? So, this is before he knew that there was, before the pandemic broke out. So, the title of the song is Meet Cute. I thought of that nga, it would be nice to have to tap into that language or that idea of the meet cute. You know what the meet cute is, right? If you're familiar with rom-coms, it's that moment when the two leading characters meet. So this is him dreaming of the day when he will meet that guy. So this is the song. Sung, by the way, by Barry Villar-Quirrillo. Volume.
Imagine this. We're walking on the street. You're minding your business. I'm mindlessly careless. Tripping over my feet. And I spilled my coffee on your t-shirt. It's the scene right out of Notting Hill. Unexpectedly we meet you. Unlikely in the drive, the moment has arrived when we meet you. The chemistry was sparked, the story is about to start. It's about to start. So what if they say, what a cliche, I'd gladly play the part of hopeless romantic, the tropes and the antics of a Hollywood plot. I'll be your manic pixie dream boy, and you'll be my guy, the brooding type. We'll be such a charming, quirky couple, you and I. Like it's meant to be, we meet you. So suddenly inspired, the universe inspired that we meet you. Get ready, my heart, the story is about to start. It's about to start. And everyone will watch us slow dance beneath the single pool of light. In this dreamlike silent slow-mo moment, you and I. Oh, but when will we meet you? Till you are mine, I'm here just biding time till we meet you. Don't worry, my heart, our story's just about to start.
then that's and he pretty much spared you from listening to me singing. So, okay, so, now, I'll give you now ideas on, so let's hook up the musical. So why not musical? So I was so idealistic in the first part of this, no, but I want to tell you the difficulty as well. Okay, what we've been encountering. So why should we not do musicals? First, it's difficult. It's really difficult to write musicals and more difficult to even produce them. And musicals involves a lot of people, okay? With movies, okay, it's sort of the same amount of people, but then you do it one time and then it's done. But musicals, you have to do every show the same amount of people. So, lisod siya. And the process is long, okay? In order for me to do a musical, I have to commit at least 3 years of my life to it, from pre-production to post. So, and that's just an initial staging of it. In Broadway, they last up to 7 years to 10 years. And because they do workshops, they refine every show every time. So, kana siya. It's really long. I don't think we have that capability to do workshops in the Philippines yet. We haven't gotten that to that level yet. And so because it's long, involves a lot of people and difficult, it's expensive, very expensive. Of course, because you need to pay everyone involved in the process, no? And because it's expensive, ultimately it's not really that sustainable, not especially here in the Philippines. Now, but I'll bring back the first question, why? Why still musicals? Just as a digression, before I answer that, let's talk about K-pop for a bit. Because it seems like any discussion about the arts in the Philippines has to start with K-pop. You know this creative industries bill? It's premised on the emergence of K-pop, and that's how you know it's that important for us. A digression. So right now everyone is talking about the Korean invasion, and that started with the K-pop phenomenon. No? But if you're about my age, around 45, you'd remember that 20 years earlier, we had this. We had Smoky Mountain, and they reached a certain level of popularity internationally, no? But what happened? We were not able to capitalize on that. But I think we have, the hope there is, we have an alternative road for Filipino mainstream invasion. And I'll show you this. It began sort of with Lea Salonga, but then right now, there's a lot of Filipinos that are infiltrating Broadway and mainstream theater scenes in the international stage. No? So, I would say, and this is just my opinion, this could be our way into the world. Now, I'm talking to Cebuano artists. So the question is, why Cebu? For some reason, I noticed that Manila is so fixated on a monotonous narrative of Filipino-ness. We have a very definite idea of what it means to be Filipino, and most of the time, it's Tagalog. Sorry. And apparently, Cebuanos, we seem to distance ourselves away from that. Look at our artists. Look at Vincent Echo. Look at Lourdes Maginte. They are so different from the artists we hear in Manila. Perhaps that it's a result of our efforts to stand out. No, we are unafraid to be different. So it's also probably because we are the melting pot of different identities. Because we're at the heart of the country, we embrace the reality of our diversity. We embrace that. It's not a bad thing to be different in Cebu. And so I guess that's what I would say. We are in the best position to both embrace and challenge the form to make it our own. Sort of what K-pop did to the pop song, di ba? If you notice, their songs are so like 10-minuters, 8 to 10 minute epic songs. And they managed to not only to embrace it, K-pop did what the Americans did, but only better. Okay, they took the idea of the boy band and really did it better than the Americans. So I think we're in a good position to be both embrace and challenge the art form and to make it our own. Especially today, no, na we have this question between content versus art. So to be honest, I'll share with you, no, part of my frustration as a record label manager is the constant to compete to produce as many songs as because the aggregators tell us the more songs you release, the better for your audience, you grow your audience and all that. Pero I started to ask myself, what are we producing? Are we producing art or are we producing content for our aggregators? Who is benefiting, the artist or Spotify? That's another discussion. Particularly in the world of AI, theater will prove to be the last vanguard of pure artistic expression versus the current trend of content creation. Because how can AI simulate a theater performance? You would know that there should be a live, real person there. AI can never. Right? Maybe the writing could be AI produced, but still, during a theater performance, a real person like you is expressing himself or herself there on stage. If you notice that after the pandemic, suddenly there's so many musicals. Did you notice that? And if you notice, have you been to a movie house recently? Not a lot of people watch movies anymore because they can watch it on Netflix. But a theater experience is so uncommon. You have to go there. And that's why a lot of people are producing theater. And because musical theater is the most appealing medium in theater, that's why there's a lot of musicals. Just look at Manila, di ba? We have the Parokya ni Edgar, Jukebox Musical, we have One More Chance, and we have all of those original musicals there. The reason is our need for human connection. In theater, the audience is a participant. I already said this. Every performance evolves because of that unique chemistry between performer and audience in every moment of the show. So, the goal of every theater practitioner is to create that magical moment together, when the creatives, the tech people, the actors, and the audience share that one unique shared moment that can only be experienced in the moment. And mostly ang appeal of theater. Because what you're creating, the sets design that you're creating, the costume designs you're creating, is just to service that one single moment. And then it ends there. And you know why? Because in the next show, it's gonna be a different moment. It might not be the same exact moment. Maybe that moment could be in another place in the play. So it's always like that. So we are going after that fleeting moment. So the process, I said, is long and arduous, but the benefit is so fleeting. And that's why it is so precious and priceless. Okay? So my pitch for you, creatives, is to join me in the pursuit of the next original Cebuano Broadway musical. I hope to hear and see you in our committee soon. Thank you.